This video is about the mom entered the beachfront cafe and a millionaire offered his help. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts and comments. ## Part 1 The Beachfront Cafe. The salty breeze wafted through the open windows of the beachfront cafe, carrying with it the sounds of laughter and the distant crash of waves. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with sweet pastries, creating an inviting atmosphere. As the door swung open, the little bell above it chimed, and a woman entered, her presence instantly drawing attention. Her name was Nora, a single mother of two who had recently moved to the coastal town of Seaside Cove, seeking a fresh start. The sunlight caught in her chestnut hair, cascading in gentle waves down her shoulders. She wore a simple sundress, its floral pattern a stark contrast to her anxiety and emotion that had clung to her since the divorce. Nora scanned the cafe, feeling slightly out of place among the tourists and locals who seemed to belong. She spotted the table by the window, the perfect spot for watching her children play in the sand just beyond the glass. As she made her way toward it, she caught the eye of a man seated at the bar. He was tall, effortlessly handsome, with a chiseled jaw and striking blue eyes that seemed to pierce right through her. His dark hair was tousled in a way that suggested he had just returned from a day at sea. He wore casual shorts and a fitted shirt that hinted at a strong physique, drawing attention without trying. Nora felt a flutter of something, a spark of interest mixed with self-doubt. "Can I help you?" he called out, his voice smooth and inviting. Nora hesitated, caught off guard by his directness. "Just looking for a table," she replied, her tone barely masking her nervousness. She forced a smile, both flattered and uneasy under his gaze. "I can promise you a great view from that seat," he said, gesturing toward the window with a charming smile that revealed a hint of mischief. "And the coffee here is legendary." She couldn't help but chuckle, her heart racing slightly. "Legendary coffee? Now that is a strong endorsement." With an easy laugh, he slid off his stool and approached her. "I am Jack. I own this place. It's my job to make sure customers are happy, especially the ones who look like they could use a good cup of coffee." Nora felt warmth creep into her cheeks. "I am Nora. Just moved here with my kids. You might have an advantage with that coffee then. I could use some help navigating this new town." Jack raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What do you need help with? Knowing where to find the best surf spots, or maybe where to avoid the tourist traps?" Nora smiled shyly, grateful for the distraction. "Honestly, I am just trying to find a balance between work and making sure my kids are happy. It is all a bit overwhelming right now." Jack nodded, his expression shifting to one of empathy. "I get that. Seaside Cove can be a lot to take in, especially for a newcomer. I'd be happy to show you around sometime, if you'd be interested." His offer caught her off guard. Did he mean it? Or was this just a flirtation? She bit her lip, battling her instincts. "That is really generous of you, but I wouldn't want to take up your time. Trust me, it gets pretty quiet here in the off-season. Helping out a neighbor sounds like a good way to spend an afternoon," he said, his eyes sparkling with genuine interest. Nora felt a rush of warmth at the thought of spending time with him, but a flicker of doubt tugged at her heart. She had been hurt before. What if this was just another fleeting distraction? Yet the idea of laughter and connection was hard to resist. "Okay, maybe just a coffee first," she suggested, her voice steadying as she embraced the moment. Jack's smile widened, revealing a playful glimmer in his eyes. "Perfect, I'll show you my secret recipe." He turned toward the counter, pouring a steaming cup of coffee, while Nora took a moment to collect herself. As she watched him, a subtle tension built in her chest, a mix of curiosity and something deeper. When he returned, their hands brushed slightly as he offered her the cup. It sent a jolt of electricity through her, leaving her momentarily breathless. "There you go, one legendary coffee, just for you." "Thanks," she said, taking a careful sip. The rich flavor enveloped her senses, warming her from the inside out. "It is incredible." "I aim to please," Jack said, leaning against the counter, his posture relaxed yet enticing. "So, how are the kids adjusting to the beach life?" Nora's heart softened at the mention of her children, her pride swelling. "They love it. My son, Leo, can't get enough of the sand, and my daughter, Mia, is convinced she is going to become a mermaid." Jack laughed, the sound rich and genuine. "Sounds like you've got some little adventurers on your hands. Do you join them in their escapades?" A bittersweet smile tugged at her lips. "I try, though it is not easy. I am still figuring out how to juggle everything." "You're doing great. Trust me," Jack said, his tone earnest. "It is not about perfection, it is about enjoying the moments, however messy they may be." His words resonated deeply with her, igniting a flicker of hope. "I guess I just need to remember that. It is easy to get lost in the chaos." Believe me, I get it, he replied, his expression shifting slightly. Life can be unpredictable, but sometimes the best experiences come from embracing the chaos. Their eyes locked for a moment, and Nora felt the space between them pulse with unspoken tension. She wondered if he sensed the chemistry crackling in the air, the pull that seemed to draw her closer to him. Have you lived here long? She asked, hoping to ground the conversation as her heart raced. Long enough to know the ins and outs, Jack said, his voice low and inviting. But I am always interested in meeting new faces. Seaside Cove has a way of bringing people together. Nora felt a flutter of excitement at the thought, but a whisper of doubt nagged at her heart. Well, I am not sure if I am ready for too much togetherness yet. Jack tilted his head slightly, his expression shifting to a blend of curiosity and concern. Are you sure? You seem like someone who could use a friend. Maybe, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But I am also trying to figure out who I am outside of being a mom. A flicker of understanding crossed Jack's eyes as if he saw beyond the surface. That is completely valid. It can be hard to find yourself again, especially after a big change. Nora nodded, feeling a mix of vulnerability and strength. It is just, sometimes I worry that I'll never find that balance. Life is a funny way of sorting itself out, he replied, his voice warm and reassuring. But it helps to have someone by your side. As their conversation flowed, Nora felt the weight of her past begin to lift, replaced by the thrill of possibility. Jack was charming and attentive, a fresh breath of air in her life that had felt stagnant for so long. Yet, with every laugh and lingering gaze, a worry crept in. Could she allow herself to open up again? Jack seemed to sense her hesitation, his playful banter morphing into something deeper. Nora, if you ever need someone to talk to, I am just a phone call away. Don't hesitate to reach out. The sincerity in his voice made her heart race once more. Thank you, Jack, that means a lot, really. Just then, the sound of giggles erupted from outside, followed by the unmistakable sight of her children running toward the calf, sand in their hair and joy in their eyes. Nora's heart swelled, and she knew she had to embrace this balance she sought, not just for herself but for them too. Looks like your little mermaids are back, Jack said, a hint of mischief dancing in his eyes. Ready for round 2 of sandcastle building? Nora laughed, her heart feeling lighter. I think they were ready for a snack first. Couldn't you let them build on empty stomachs? He replied, his gaze lingering on her a moment longer than necessary, filling the space with unspoken promise. As her children burst through the door, beaming with energy, Nora felt a renewed sense of hope. Perhaps she could navigate this new chapter, with Jack's unexpected kindness guiding her way. And maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for something more than friendship if she could let herself believe it was possible. # Part 2, The Unfolding Moments. Nora's children burst through the calf doors, their laughter echoing like a melody she hadn't realized she missed. Leo, with sandy feet and a triumphant grin, ran straight to her, holding up a half-finished seashell he'd dug up. Look, Mom, I found a treasure, he exclaimed, his blue eyes sparkling with excitement. Mia trailed behind, her skin glistening with droplets from the ocean. And I found a crab. It was so fast, but I let it go, she shouted, breathing heavily as she plopped down next to Leo. Nor couldn't he help but smile at their enthusiasm, feeling a warmth spread through her. That is amazing, you two. A treasure and a crab. Seaside Cove really is full of surprises. Jack had stepped back, watching the scene unfold with an appreciative smile. The way Nora's face lit up at her children's joy made something stir within him. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed as he observed her. Good luck keeping up with us two, he said, a teasing glimmer in his eyes. Nora turned to him, feeling a soft blush creep onto her cheeks. I think the real challenge is keeping them fed, she replied, her heart fluttering at the easy banter they shared. Snacks are essential post-sandcastle building, Jack agreed, rolling up his sleeves as he moved behind the counter. What do you say, kids, ice cream or pastries? Ice cream, both kids shouted in unison, their faces lighting up with sheer joy. Okay, then, ice cream it is, he said, pouring a generous scoop of vanilla and drizzling it with chocolate sauce. As he prepared their treats, Nora watched him, a mix of admiration and something deeper bubbling beneath the surface. Thanks for being so great with them, she said, her voice softer than she intended. It is not often you meet someone who connects with kids so easily. Jack glanced back at her, a spark of warmth in his eyes. I have a soft spot for kids. They remind us how to enjoy the little things, you know. Nora nodded, feeling the weight of his words. The little things sometimes, they feel like the hardest to hold onto. Just then, Leo tugged at her dress, his ice cream nearly toppling over. Mom, can we go back to the beach after this, please? Nor ruffled his hair affectionately. Sure, buddy, we can go back for a little while longer before we head home. Yay. Mia squealed, her eyes wide with delight. As the kids savored their ice cream, laughter filled the cafe, creating a comforting atmosphere. Jack returned to their table, leaning casually against the edge while he observed them. They were a great pair, you should be proud. I am, Nora replied, her heart swelling. It hasn't been easy, but they're readapting. I just wish I could give them everything they deserve. Jack's expression turned serious, his gaze unwavering. You're doing more than you know. Just being here for them is a huge part of it. Nora felt the tightness in her chest, his insight cutting deeper than she expected. Sometimes I feel like I am failing them, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I have these moments of self-doubt, wondering if I am enough. Jack reached out, resting his hand on the table, mere inches from hers. You're here, you're trying, and that counts for a lot. They allow remember these moments, not the perfect ones, but the ones filled with love. Nora met his gaze, the intensity of his blue eyes making her heart race. There was something unspoken in that moment, an understanding that transcended words. Leo, oblivious to the tension, pushed his empty ice cream cup toward Jack. Can I have more? Wow, someone has a big appetite. Jack laughed, ruffling Leo's hair playfully. Sure thing, champ, be right back. As he walked away, Nora felt the absence of his presence, an unexpected ache pooling in her chest. Had she imagined the connection, or was it real? She glanced down at her children, their innocence grounding her amidst the swirling thoughts. Mama, can we build a really big sandcastle? Mia asked, her little hand animated as she spoke. Absolutely, the giant castle. Nora replied, her heart warming at the sight of their enthusiasm. When Jack returned, he brought 2 additional ice cream cups, setting them in front of the kids. There you go, one for each of you. Thanks, Jack, they chorused, diving into the treats with enthusiasm. Hey, you should come help us build the castle, Leo suggested, eyes wide with hope. Jack looked at Nora, a playful glint sparkling in his eyes. I'd love to, but only if you promise to save me a spot in the moat. Nor couldn't he help but smile, the camaraderie between the 3 of them felt like something beautiful. Deal, she said, her heart racing at the thought of him joining them. As they made their way back to the beach, the sound of waves crashing against the shore created a backdrop of serenity. The sun was beginning to dip toward the horizon, casting a golden glow over everything. Okay, let us get to work, Nora instructed, feeling a surge of excitement as they approached a patch of sand. Jack knelt beside her, and as they began to sculpt the castle, their shoulders brushed intermittently, sending tiny jolts of electricity through her. You know, I think I've got a knack for this, he said, shaping the sand with careful precision. Nora laughed softly. What makes you say that? Just look at this artistry, he replied, gesturing grandly to their half-built castle. A masterpiece in the making. Their eyes met, and Nora felt a blush creeping back into her cheeks. It'll be the talk of the beach for sure. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, a moment of silence enveloped them. Leo and Mia were off chasing the waves, blissfully unaware of the chemistry simmering between their mother and Jack. Did you always want to open a cafe? Nora asked, trying to steer the conversation back to safe waters. Jack paused, a thoughtful look passing over his face. Not always. I used to be in finance, but I found it hollow. I wanted something that brought joy, a place where people could connect. That is what this is for me. Nora watched him, captivated by the passion that lit his features. That is a brave choice, she said, her heart swelling with admiration. I can't imagine leaving everything behind. It was scary at first, he admitted, his gaze drifting to the horizon. But I realized life is too short to spend it doing something you don't love. Wise words, she replied, feeling the depth of his insight resonate with her own journey. I am still figuring that part out. Just then, Leo came running back, then clinging to his legs. Mom, we need more water for the castle. Okay, buddy, let us go get some, she said, rising from the sand. As they walked toward the shore, she could feel Jack's presence behind her, the warmth of his gaze a constant reminder of their earlier moments. There was an unspoken tension, a pulse she couldn't ignore, yet the doubts of her past whispered in the back of her mind. Hey, Nora. Jack's voice broke through her thoughts as they reached the water's edge. Yeah, she replied, turning to face him. I really enjoy spending time with you, he confessed, his eyes searching hers. I know we just met, but it feels different. Nora's heart raced, the sincerity in his voice sent shivers down her spine. It does feel different, she admitted, her pulse quickening. But he hesitated, his brow furrowing slightly. I don't want to overstep any boundaries. I know you were just getting settled. A rush of vulnerability swept over her. No, it is okay. I want to connect. I really do, she said, her voice steadying. It is just hard to let go of the past. I understand, he replied softly, stepping closer. But I do like to assure you that not every connection has to carry that weight. Nora felt a flicker of hope igniting within her, battling against the shadows of her past. You make it sound so easy. Nothing worth having is easy, he said, his voice a low murmur. But I'd like to be a part of your journey if you'll let me. Their eyes locked, and for a heartbeat time stood still. The world around them faded, leaving just the two of them surrounded by the ocean breeze and the fading light. Okay, she whispered, her heart pounding in her chest. Let us see where this goes. Jack's smile was radiant, illuminating the gathering dusk. Great, because I think we could create something pretty amazing together. As they returned. Hash Part 3, The Dance of Possibility. As the sun dipped lower on the horizon, casting a golden hue over Seaside Cove, Nora felt an inexplicable thrill at Jack's words. She stood by the water's edge, the surf lapping at her feet, her heart racing with the promise of what could be. Jack's gaze was steady, filled with warmth and an intensity that sent butterflies fluttering wildly in her stomach. Shall we? He said, gesturing toward her children, who were now splashing playfully in the waves, laughter mixing with the sound of the ocean. Right, she replied, forcing herself to look away from his penetrating gaze and focusing on Leo and Mia. They were definitely not just building sandcastles, they were creating something magical, their giggles echoing like music. Mom, look at us! Mia shouted, her little arms outstretched as she attempted to keep her balance while the waves rose higher. Nora smiled, watching as Jack joined them, his playful nature blending seamlessly with that of her children. Okay, you two, let us make this castle the best one yet, he called out, his voice laced with excitement. Jack, I think we need to dig a moat. Leo chimed in, his eyes lighting up with inspiration. Absolutely, we need a strong defense against the ocean. Jack laughed, kneeling in the sand and digging with fervor. Nor couldn't he help but laugh at the sight, her heart swelling with gratitude. Here was a man who effortlessly connected with her children, embodying everything she had always hoped for in a partner: kindness, humor, and a willingness to embrace the chaos of life. As they worked together, laughter and playful banter filled the air. Jack's enthusiasm was contagious, and Nora found herself drawn further into the moment, momentarily forgetting her doubts. Be careful, you two, she called out as Mia lost her balance and fell into the water, sending splashes everywhere. Jack was right there, catching her before she hit the sand, and the little girl erupted into giggles. I am fine. Mia chirped, shaking her head like a wet dog, sending droplets flying. Just a little dip in the ocean, good for the skin, Jack said with a wink which made Nora chuckle despite herself. Must be a secret skincare tip, she teased, feeling an ease settle over her like a cozy blanket. They spent the next hour building their castle, the sun gradually sinking behind them and painting the sky in vibrant oranges and purples. Jack's playful teasing and the camaraderie he shared with her children made her forget the heaviness of her past. Yet, as the sun began its descent, a flicker of doubt crept in. What would happen tomorrow? Could she truly allow herself to be vulnerable again? The ghosts of her past echoed in her mind, whispering doubts that clawed at her heart. Let us take a picture, Jack suggested, pulling out his phone. We need to capture this masterpiece. He positioned Mia and Leo in front of the half-finished sandcastle. Say Seaside Cove, he called out, and the kids, with their faces lit up with joy, shouted in unison. The click of the camera echoed like a little spark igniting in Nora's heart. She felt warmth spread through her as Jack scrolled through the photos, a wide grin on his face. You know, I think we might have a shot at the next Instagram beach contest, he quipped. Nora chuckled, her heart fluttering at the way he effortlessly engaged with her children. If only we could enter the performance art category, there is definitely a lot of creativity going on here. Jack turned to her, his expression suddenly serious. Nora, I really mean it when I say I enjoy being here with you and your kids. You real? He hesitated, searching for the right words. Special. That's nice of you to say, she replied, her pulse quickening. But I don't want you to feel obligated. Obligated? Jack asked, a slight frown crossing his features. No, it is not like that at all. I genuinely like spending time with you. I am not a charity case here. His tone was earnest, but there was a hint of concern in his eyes. I didn't mean it like that, she said quickly, her cheeks flushing. I just want to make sure you're not doing this out of pity. Pity? Nora, I am not someone who takes on obligations out of pity. I am drawn to you. That is a choice I am making." His words hung in the air, heavy with meaning, and Nora's heart raced. Did he really mean that? Could there be more to this connection? "Okay, then," she said softly, meeting his gaze with a mixture of apprehension and hope. Before Jack could respond, Leo and Mia rejoined them, covered in sand and grinning from ear to ear. "Can we jump in the water now?" Leo asked, his excitement palpable. "Only if you promise to come back to help finish the castle." Jack replied, shooting a conspiratorial glance at Nora, which sent a jolt of warmth through her. "Deal," both children shouted, sprinting toward the waves, their laughter filling the air once more. Nora watched them, her heart full, but the nagging doubts returned. "Jack," she started but hesitated, the words getting tangled in her throat. He turned to her, his expression softening. "What is on your mind?" I don't want to lead you on," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am still figuring out my life, and I don't know if I can give you what you deserve." Jack stepped closer, the warmth of his presence washing over her. "Nora, I am not looking for perfection, I am looking for connection, and right now that's what I feel with you." Nora felt a rush of vulnerability mixed with desire. Jack's words were like a balm to her worries, but could she truly allow herself to open up? "Let us just take it one day at a time," she suggested, her heart pounding in her chest. "Exactly," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "No pressure, just being present with each other." Their eyes locked for a moment, the world around them fading into a soft blur. The chemistry was palpable, and Nora felt the pull toward him as if unseen strings connected their hearts. But just then, Leo's voice cut through the moment. "Mom, look at me," he called out, attempting to ride the waves like a seasoned surfer. "Leo, be careful," Nora shouted, anxiety creeping back into her chest as she watched him teeter on the edge of a wave. Jack's hand brushed against hers, grounding her. "Yes, fine. Sometimes you have to let them take risks. They learn from it." "I know, she sighed, shaking her head slightly. "I can't help but worry. It is what moms do, right?" Jack chuckled softly, his hand still resting near hers. "I get it. I've seen it with my siblings too. Just remember, there is a difference between protecting them and stunting their growth." Nora felt her heart race at the way he understood her, the way he saw through her protective instincts. "You're right, I know that, but it is hard to let go." "Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you trust them," he replied, his gaze locked on hers, filled with sincerity. In that moment, something shifted between them, a mutual understanding blossoming in the space where doubt had once lingered. She wanted to trust, to lean into this connection. "Okay," she whispered, her heart fluttering with hope. "I can try." As they returned to the shore, the sun continued its descent, blanketing the world in soft twilight. Leo and Mia splashed in the waves, unaware of the newfound bond forming between their mother and the man who had unexpectedly entered their lives. Nora felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. Perhaps this was the beginning of something beautiful, something that could blossom if she allowed it. "Ready for another round of castle building?" Jack asked, his voice teasing as he joined his side, his warmth beside her a comforting presence. "Absolutely," she replied, a smile breaking free as she turned to face him. With the ocean as their backdrop and laughter filling the air, they stepped into the unknown, ready to embrace whatever came next, a journey of healing, laughter, and perhaps love, one sandy castle at a time. # Part 4, Waves of Change. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the beach in a warm glow, Nora felt a blend of exhilaration and anxiety. Jack had leaned closer, their shoulders brushing as they resumed building the sand castle, and the energy between them felt electric, alive. "Okay, let us make this the most grand castle Seaside Cove has ever seen," Jack declared, his enthusiasm infectious. Mia, still dripping from her ocean escapade, clapped her hands. "Yeah, we need a tower and a drawbridge." Nora nodded, her heart swelling at the sight of her children's joy. "And what about a flag?" she suggested, her mind racing with possibilities. "Flag, yes," Leo shouted, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "A big one." Jack paused, his gaze shifting from the kids to Nora. "What do you think? Should we fashion a flag from that beach towel over there?" "Brilliant idea," she said, feeling a rush of warmth spread through her at the way he included her in their little plans. As Jack stood up to retrieve the towel, a moment of doubt flickered through Nora's mind. She glanced at her children, whose laughter rang like music, and then back to Jack, who was already returning with the towel draped over his shoulder. She wondered if she was moving too quickly, diving headfirst into this unexpected connection. But as Jack approached, confidence radiating from him, she felt her apprehension begin to melt away. "Here you go, one makeshift flag." Jack held it up triumphantly, a playful grin on his face. "Now it is official." Yay, the kids cheered, rushing to help him secure the flag on the top of their sandcastle. Nora watched them, her heart swelling. Jack had a way of making everything feel lighter, a balm to her anxieties. Yet, as they worked together, she couldn't shake the nagging worry. Could she really allow herself to fall for someone so quickly after her divorce? "Are you all right?" Jack asked, his voice low as he caught her eye. She blinked, surprised. "What do you mean?" "You seemed a little lost in thought," he said, his expression filled with concern. "I didn't want to interrupt the moment." Nora chuckled nervously, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Just thinking about how much fun this is." "Fun is good," he replied, his gaze steady. "But if something is bothering you, I am here to listen." His sincerity touched her, and she felt the urge to confide in him, to share the fears that had taken root in her heart. But vulnerability was never easy, not when the stakes felt so high. "I appreciate that," she said finally, glancing at the waves, struggling for the right words. "It is just. Life has been complicated lately. I don't want to lead you on." Jack's expression shifted slightly, a mix of understanding and disappointment. "Nora, I am not asking for anything more than what you're willing to give. I just enjoy being around you and the kids." His words hung in the air, and for a moment, Nora felt the weight of her past pressed down on her, heavy as a stone. "It is hard to know what I am ready for," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "I get that," Jack replied, his tone softening. "You've been through a lot, but I want you to know that I am not just here for a fleeting moment. I am genuinely interested in you and your family." Nora's heart raced at the sincerity in his voice. The chemistry between them was undeniable, but the fear of repeating her past mistakes clouded her mind. "I don't want to rush into anything, Jack. I've been hurt before." "I am not going anywhere," he said, stepping closer, their bodies almost touching as they shared this intimate space of honesty. "I am here to support you. No pressure, but we can take our time." A flutter of hope ignited within her, battling against her doubts. There was something raw and genuine about Jack, an allure she couldn't ignore. Yet the lingering fear of heartbreak kept her on guard. "Thanks," she said, her voice steadying as she met his gaze. "That means a lot to me." Before they could delve deeper, Leo and me came rushing back, their arms laden with shells and bits of sea glass. "Look what we found," Nia exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. "Mom, can we keep them?" Leo added, his enthusiasm unabated. "Of course, they're beautiful," Nora said, her heart swelling at their joy. "Hey, let us use those for decoration on the castle," Jack suggested, his playful demeanor returning. "Seaside Café's finest palace needs some bling." Nora laughed, the momentary tension easing as the kids eagerly began placing the shells around the sandy creation. "A palace fit for a king and queen," she exclaimed, feeling lighter, more at ease. The evening slipped away in laughter and creativity, the castle taking shape under their hands. But beneath the surface, Nora felt the current of emotions coursing through her, a mix of hope and lingering uncertainty. As the sun disappeared, casting the beach into twilight, Jack turned to her, his expression serious once more. "Nora, I really enjoy spending this time with you and your kids. You all are something special." She felt warmth bloom in her chest at his words, but a flicker of anxiety crossed her mind. "You're really good with them," she said, trying to keep the conversation light. "It is like you've been doing this forever." Jack chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "I have younger siblings. I am used to the chaos and the fun." "Chaos is definitely one way to describe my life," she said, her smile fading slightly as she thought about her responsibilities. "You're doing a great job," Jack reassured her, his voice gentle. "It is not easy being a single parent." "Thank you," she replied, feeling a mix of gratitude and vulnerability. "Sometimes I doubt myself." "Hey," he said, his gaze piercing through the dim light. "Doubt is natural. Just remember you're not alone in this." Nora's heart raced as their eyes locked, the tension between them palpable. She felt an urge to lean closer, to bridge the distance that lingered like a thin veil. "I think I am getting used to the idea of not being alone," she confessed, her voice a whisper. His expression shifted, a spark of something deeper igniting in his eyes. "Then let us explore that together." Just then, a loud splash echoed from the water, breaking the spell. They turned to see Leo and me jumping back into the waves, shrieks of delight mixing with the ocean sounds. Nora took a deep breath, grounding herself in the chaos of the moment. "They were going to wear themselves out," she said, watching her kids with a smile. Better tired than bored, Jack replied, his tone playful. Should we join them? Nora looked at him, her heart racing at the thought. I don't have a swimsuit, she said, half teasing, half serious. His eyes sparkled with mischief. Who says you need one? We all friends, right? She laughed, feeling the tension ease again. You on a roll with the charm tonight, aren't you? It is a gift, he said with a wink, taking her hand and pulling her gently toward the water. With a mixture of laughter and hesitation, Nora followed, letting him lead her near the crashing waves. The cold water lapped at her feet, sending shivers up her spine, but exhilaration pulsed through her. See, nothing to worry about, Jack said, watching her with that familiar warmth in his gaze. Yeah, until the waves knock me over, she shot back, laughter escaping her lips. Then I'll be right here to catch you, he replied, his voice low, sending a thrill racing through her. Just then, a wave surged forward, splashing both of them and drenching his sundress. Nora squealed, laughing uncontrollably. Jack, he grinned, his blue eyes shining with mischief. Told you to be careful. Okay, I get it, she exclaimed, trying to catch her breath. You win this round. As they continued to splash each other, the laughter and joy of the moment enveloped them like a warm embrace. Nora felt a shift within her, a blossoming realization that maybe it was okay to let herself enjoy this connection, to embrace the uncertainty instead of fighting it. By the time the kids finally grew tired and began to trudge back to the sand, Nora felt lighter, the heaviness of doubt beginning to lift. Can we finish the castle tomorrow? Mia asked, her face flushed with excitement. Absolutely, Jack replied, ruffling her hair. We'll make it even taller. As they returned to the sandy creation, Nora glanced at Jack, who met her gaze with an intensity that sent her heart racing. Thank you for today, she said softly, her voice